Yet another pregnancy test revealed just a single line. Eleanor set it down on the edge of the tub with a kind of indifferent resignation, accepting the reality. No baby. On the second day of delay, the third test unequivocally indicated that preparing for menopause was more realistic than anticipating a new pregnancy. What's the result? Jaden asked impatiently outside the door, eager for an answer. Nothing, she responded in a flat tone, grabbing the negative test and tossing it into the trash can. Along with the test, her hopes went into the bin too. "Don't be upset," her husband's voice murmured from behind the door. But his words only made Eleanor feel worse. She wanted to cry and bury her face in a pillow. "I'm not upset," she replied, trying to keep her voice composed. Splashes of icy water on her face provided little relief before she stepped out of the bathroom and met Jaden's sorrowful eyes. "Don't give me that look," she cautioned, yet with a gentle tone. 2 years of fruitless attempts to conceive had gone by, and not once had a pregnancy test shown even the faintest glimmer of hope for a positive outcome. Jaden remained upbeat, while Eleanor's concern began to mount. The couple had recently undergone medical examinations and discovered they were fully equipped to pursue parenthood, yet the pregnancy still eluded them. Eleanor was firmly against discussing IVF or surrogacy in any capacity. "The doctors assured us that we're both in good health," she affirmed to her husband, who promptly nodded in agreement. "So we'll keep trying until the very end." At the age of 40, both husband and wife shared the same milestone, having known each other since their school days long ago. Life had taken them on separate paths. Eleanor entered marriage and welcomed a daughter, while Jaden endured 2 unsuccessful marriages without fathering any children. Though not infertile, he simply never felt inclined to have kids with the women he wed. As fate would have it, Jaden had secretly been in love with Eleanor since their adolescent years. He found her spirited nature, sharp wit, and captivating beauty irresistible. She embodied the essence of his long-imagined ideal partner, a vision he had yet to find in anyone else. They reunited 2 decades later at a gathering. By then, Eleanor had gone through a divorce and had a daughter who remained with her after the split. The girl's father showed no interest in establishing a relationship with her. He had safely departed from their town and moved to the regional center with his new spouse. At that time, Eleanor's daughter had just celebrated her 13th birthday. As a teenager, she was brimming with emotions and eager for independence, so the arrival of a man into their home caught her off guard. "Why do you need this man?" questioned Mila, addressing her mother. And Eleanor glared at her daughter. "Why a man? Jaden isn't just any man. He is a man." "They're all just men," Mila dismissed the inquiry. "And my father was a man. And we all know that men are jerks." Eleanor nearly coughed in disbelief upon hearing such a remark from her 13-year-old daughter. Never had she uttered anything of the sort about the male sex in front of Mila, so how could such notions even creep into a teenager's mind? "Mila, what kind of statement is that?" Eleanor asked, her horror evident as she scrutinized her daughter's expression. "Seriously," Mila scoffed. "Isn't that the reason you kicked Dad out and shipped him off to another city?" "I kicked him out," Eleanor responded, bewildered. "Your father was an adult who made his own choices. He opted to move to a different city with another woman, and I had nothing to do with that." At first, interacting with Jaden was challenging for Mila. She treated her new stepfather with disdain, dismissed his opinions as trivial, and generally struggled to view him as an authority figure. "Who do you think you are, telling me what to do and how to do it?" she retorted with sarcasm. "Just because you share a home with my mom and sleep in the same bed doesn't grant you the right to dictate my actions." Eleanor found herself baffled. Contrarily, Jaden, who had genuine intentions toward his new bride, just chuckled at the cheeky girl who viewed men as crude and brainless beings. It was the same Eleanor he remembered from their school days, that spirited nature, self-assuredness, and audacity. Eleanor, she'll grow out of this phase, and everything will fall into place, he assured his spouse. You know that childish certainty in their own correctness. You were like that too, claiming I felt nothing but pity. Oh, Jaden, back then I genuinely believed so. That childish confidence played a nasty trick on me, and I'm afraid it will do the same with Mila. If I had taken you seriously at that time, I would have spared myself a lot of wasted time on a husband, unworthy of a second of my precious life. Jaden merely smirked and continued his efforts to connect with Eleanor's daughter. He overlooked her misdeeds, tolerated her rudeness, and even covered for her lies in front of his wife. The man endeavored to win the girl over, and after considerable effort and struggles, he finally managed to gain a semblance of positive authority in Mila's eyes. And so, Jaden and Eleanor resolved to start a family of their own. At 39, Jaden was yet to become a father. He held a prestigious job and earned a respectable income. The couple resided in a generously sized 2-bedroom flat, with finances comfortably in check. However, what they lacked was a tiny shared being that would eternally link Eleanor and Jaden. They delved deeply into the prospects of parenthood, and even Milo was on board with the idea of expanding the family. Yet despite their efforts, conception proved elusive for Eleanor. She couldn't become pregnant with her husband's child. Trial after trial, examination after examination, effort after effort. I'm worn out, Jaden, Eleanor admitted wearily, emerging from the bathroom and spreading her hands in despair. I long for a child. I truly desire us to have a baby. But I'm at a loss as to what actions to take in order to make it a reality. Take a breather and let go, her spouse suggested. Are you solely fixated on discussions about conception and ovulation? Just relax and relish life. If you wish, let's escape to the coast. I yearn to conceive, to carry our little one within me, and ultimately give birth, Eleanor responded exhaustively. I want to fulfill my responsibilities and proceed with my existence tranquilly. Looking at his beloved wife with tenderness, Jaden expressed, I believe you viewed this entire matter as an obligation. There's little chance of us gaining anything advantageous by treating it thusly. Take a load off and embrace it. Cease regarding it as a duty. That's a piece of cake, Jaden, Eleanor replied with a sigh. I genuinely desire you to become a parent. Actually, I can't emphasize enough how strong this desire is. She already had a daughter herself, Mila, who was now old enough to embark on her own independent life. Eleanor had plenty of time to give birth to a child for her husband, who had no offspring of his own and was unlikely to have any in the future. Eleanor longed for a child. She was fully prepared for motherhood this time around, with an acute sense of readiness. But for some inexplicable reason, fate seemed determined to withhold a baby from her. Eleanor frequently mused over the fact that she had agreed to be Jaden's wife without any strings attached. He was far too exceptional for her to be in his company, and she could not provide him with a little one. She yearned so deeply for this remarkable man, who showered her with care and embraced her daughter as his own, to find happiness. But would he truly find happiness without having sired a child of his own? Her moral sense was eating away at her, making her contemplate parting ways with Jaden to allow him the chance to become a father through a younger, healthier woman who might adore him as deeply as she did. Lost in her whirlwind of thoughts, she had entirely overlooked everything else. The ovulation monitoring, the routine doctor's appointments, and the relentless testing had thrown her usual life off balance. Then, on an exceptionally ordinary Sunday afternoon, Eleanor overheard Jaden exclaim with delight It's done. Puzzled, Eleanor stared at her husband, completely baffled. It's done. What are you talking about, Jaden? Her husband was gleefully waving what appeared to be a pregnancy test in front of Eleanor's eyes. Taking the item, she studied the 2 lines closely. Where did you find this? Jaden grinned. Just where you left it. So are you pleased? Eleanor furrowed her brow. Jaden, I haven't taken any pregnancy tests because it isn't time yet. Why would there be a positive test in our bathroom? It was then that the pieces clicked into place. The hand clutching the positive test shook as Eleanor strode with resolve towards her daughter's room. She caught a quiet murmur, which she took as an invitation, and burst into the room like a shot. There Mila lay curled on the bed, her demeanor one of despair as tears stained her cheeks. Is this yours? Eleanor asked, though she suspected she already knew the answer. Mila gave a feeble nod. At the age of 16, in her sophomore year of high school, Mila, what on earth were you thinking? Tears streamed down Mila's face, her lower lip trembling just as it had when she was little. Eleanor's heart ached for her daughter, yet simultaneously, a tumult of emotions brewed within her. Not anger or irritation, but rather envy gnawed at her heart. Her teenage daughter was expecting, yet she herself was not. The injustice of it all was overwhelming. I love him, Mila managed between sobs, wiping her tears across her cheeks. I love him dearly. And who is the father? Eleanor demanded, her voice harsh though she felt her control slipping. The urge to seize her daughter by the shoulders and shake some sense into her surged strongly. Eleanor barely held it back. I can't say, Mila murmured. He doesn't want the baby. I'm not going to have it. Eleanor observed her weeping daughter in heavy silence. Any other mother might have softened, offering consolation to her distraught, expectant teenage daughter, perhaps offering words of encouragement or vowing to support her. But such sentiments were foreign to Eleanor. She found herself unable and unwilling to offer gentle words to her daughter, who had become pregnant at such a young age. Now she faced the prospect of becoming a grandmother prematurely, a stark reminder that her own years of motherhood were receding into the past. Mila is spouting nonsense, Jaden remarked to Eleanor upon leaving their daughter's room. She can't just have an interruption. Mind your own business, Jaden, Eleanor retorted wearily and rather impolitely. This concerns us women. Let her be. Where will she give birth? She hasn't even completed her schooling, and the child's father is a stranger. Eleanor, she won't be capable of having children in the future, Jaden expressed bitterly. And you won't forgive yourself for not preventing her from taking this course of action. However, Eleanor's thoughts strayed elsewhere. She was consumed by jealousy. Disgusted with herself, the sight of her pregnant daughter stirred only irritation within her. Why had Mila gotten pregnant and not she? Why had Eleanor spent countless months attempting to conceive with her husband to no avail? Come morning, she had made her decision. You won't undergo an abortion, Eleanor declared to her daughter. You will bring this child into the world. We will care for it, nurture it, offer our support. A hint of contentment appeared on her husband's face, soon replaced by uncertainty reflected in their daughter's expression. Mom, I'm afraid, Mila confessed. Don't be scared, sweetheart, Jaden reassured in place of Eleanor. Everything will turn out fine. Each day, it became increasingly challenging for Eleanor to accept the profound transformation that had unfolded within her family. A daughter expecting a baby, scrutinizing stares from educators, neighbors, and astonished friends. This was a lot to endure, and Eleanor found herself battling inner turmoil. By the close of the 3rd month of Mila's pregnancy, it was painfully clear who the father of the baby was. A young man Mila had crossed paths with while visiting a friend. He had developed feelings for her and abruptly realized he wanted to embrace fatherhood. "I'm ready to marry you and acknowledge the child," he proclaimed earnestly. But Mila, with a firm determination, implored him not to contact her again. "You recognized your obligations to me too late," she replied curtly. "I'm sorry, but I don't wish to have any ties with you." Eleanor felt a deep frustration toward her daughter's decision to dismiss support from the child's father. As Mila's abdomen expanded, Eleanor persevered, accompanying her daughter to regular visits to the gynecologist for ultrasounds, watching the baby grow, all while grappling with envy. The sight of Mila's burgeoning belly only heightened Eleanor's irritation. She couldn't shake the thought that she would be stepping into the role of grandmother at the tender age of 40, a label she linked with aging and decline. Conversely, Jaden was elated at the prospect of a new life entering their home. Although the circumstances were unconventional and the child wasn't his own, he relished the challenges that came with preparing for a baby's arrival. Eleanor felt a pang of annoyance towards her husband's happiness, which seemed to be directed not at her but at their daughter. She was hurt and deeply embarrassed, caught in a swirl of conflicting emotions. "You've been indulging in chips again," Eleanor exclaimed as she discovered a packet of unhealthy potato chips in the trash, directing her frustration at Mila. "So what?" her daughter defiantly responded, grasping her protruding belly. "I'm pregnant, I can have them." "No, you cannot." Eleanor continued to shout, her concern for their health escalating. "Don't you think about your well-being? Consider the well-being of your child." "Ease up, Eleanor," Jaden interjected, earning himself a barrage of angry words in return. "I wish this child had already been born," Eleanor pondered quietly within herself. Her fear of despising the baby, of not welcoming its presence in her home, of refusing to bond with her daughter and grandson consumed her thoughts. She couldn't shake the notion that life unfolds as it does, unchangeable. Finally, at the end of June, a robust and healthy boy came into the world. As Eleanor visited her daughter in the maternity hospital, her greatest anxiety lay in meeting her grandson. To her surprise, however, the tiny bundle wriggling in the crib invoked purest emotion and an overwhelming tenderness within her. At the moment of discharge, Eleanor clung to the blanket, holding her grandson close in her arms and gazing upon his face, reveling in his existence. She caught Jaden's joyful gaze, momentarily locking eyes, before discreetly averting her own. Why had she ever assumed she couldn't love her own grandson? The baby's pop was also there upon leaving the hospital. He surprised Mila with a massive bouquet of blooms. And right then and there, at the maternity ward, Eleanor got acquainted with her daughter's beau's folks. Mila had become more lenient towards him. Her hormones had shifted, and she tolerantly allowed the baby's father to occasionally come by for a visit. A brand new existence began, brimming with responsibilities for the tiny tyke who incessantly required attention and care. Eleanor took a break from her job and aided her daughter. And in the evenings, she and Jaden strolled with the carriage. Eleanor no longer dwelled on feelings of jealousy. She had experienced an event that upended her life, but it hadn't halted it. It was a momentous occasion, one might even call it a miracle. "Mama, Hudson and I are planning to move in with Thomas," Mila informed her mother once her little grandson, Eleanor's precious bundle, reached 3 months old. "How can this be?" the mother muttered helplessly, a sense of emptiness enveloping her. "You found so much happiness here." "Mama, my son deserves to have a father figure in his life. And Thomas loves me and wants to build a future together," Mila explained. Eleanor understood that it would be best for her daughter to create her own family, especially since Thomas had proved his commitment over the past few months. Now Mila was ready to embark on this new chapter with little Hudson. That evening, Eleanor wept sorrowfully, seeking solace in the comforting embrace of Jaden, her loving husband. "I had grown so accustomed to having them under our roof," she murmured. "It's time to embrace a new phase of life now," Jaden responded tenderly, holding his wife close. "Mila has grown into a woman, and it's time for her to spread her wings and fly." After Mila and Hudson departed, a sense of emptiness and solitude overtook the house. Eleanor would visit her grandson once every 7 days, and occasionally she would bring Hudson along for a sleepover at her mother's place, which brought immense delight to Eleanor's heart. She relished the opportunity to care for the little one, all the while quietly nurturing her own dreams. On the stroke of New Year's Eve, a miraculous occurrence unfolded. As a habitual practice, Eleanor conducted a pregnancy test, only to be astounded by the appearance of 2 stripes. Overwhelmed with sheer disbelief, Eleanor wept tears of joy, fearing to share this wondrous news with Jaden. "This is the greatest New Year's gift one could ever receive," he beamed with delight. Eleanor couldn't help but wholeheartedly agree with her husband. At that moment, they became the most fulfilled individuals on the face of the planet.